What's up, everybody? Welcome to another review of Final Fantasy mainline series. This is Final Fantasy IV, and while it is not my favorite Final Fantasy, it is my first Final Fantasy. I started with Part 4. My brother had gotten it for the Super Nintendo, and I watched him play it and eventually got to play it for myself. Of course, the version we had was known as Final Fantasy II. As I mentioned in the previous ones, and I'll mention it again, is that we did not get all the Final Fantasies originally as they were released. The real Part 2 and 3 were deemed too hard for American audiences by Square and Nintendo, and they just felt like, okay, well, Final Fantasy IV is a bit more traditional, and as well as you don't have all the job class systems like in 3 or the weird leveling up system. 4 kind of went back to its roots, but it also just created a fantastic story, which, granted, with Nintendo censorship, and they also, although they did make the game easier, they really toned down like the difficulty of the Japanese version. In fact, that they actually re-released it in Japan, known as Final Fantasy IV Easy, which was basically like America, as we got the simple version. Not the maybe the first time, not the last time actually that Japan gets American versions of their own game, which is really interesting. But Final Fantasy IV, or 2 as I knew it as a kid, is a like I said, goes back to kind of just a traditional turn-based RPG. Of course, you see the classic Final Fantasy style side view battles, turn based with the I believe this was the start of the ATB, the action time active time battle system, where if you don't act, the enemies will. So even though it's your turn, you do have to still think. Which added a lot to the battle system instead of just sitting there taking your time and really deciding. It kind of gave a little bit of pressure into it, which definitely, like, again, I think that's a big reason why they kind of toned down the difficulty. But the story of Final Fantasy is the story of Cecil, the Dark Knight turned Paladin, and his wide range of characters you get throughout the game to aid you, from Kane the Dragoon, Rosa the White Mage, Rydia the Summoner. You get Palom and Porum, the twin mages, Edward the useless bard. I'm sure somebody likes Edward. I don't fucking know who. Yang the martial artist, and Edge the ninja. And throughout the adventure, you get these characters that aid Cecil throughout the story. Also, by the way, his name is Cecil. I grew up calling him Cecil because up until the 3DS, or no, just the regular DS re-release where they added voice acting, then they told you the real name is actually Cecil, and it's taken quite a while to get used to that. But yeah, Cecil started off as a Dark Knight for the Baron Kingdom. After doing a few too many bad deeds for the king, he started to question himself, and it's a journey of him going from being the Dark Knight using shadow and dark magic into the Paladin. And then it goes into a huge story of just like freeing the kingdom, finding out, of course, the darkness that is there, and there. I mean, even goes to the moon. And throughout, you have, like I said, the various characters, all designed, as you can see, with the beautiful art of Yoshitaka Amano. And without getting too much into just the story, because you should go play it. The game is readily available on many systems. It's been remade countless times. I mean, from, of course, the Super Nintendo to the PlayStation 1 to the incredibly difficult DS version, which that one, I'm actually playing through it currently as of this recording, going through yet again. Because this game, like I say, it's not quite my favorite Final Fantasy, but it's arguably number 2. I mean, this game has just had a huge impact on my life. From, like I said, my brother had it when it was on Super Nintendo, and I played it, and there are characters that die long before Aerith. She wasn't the first, but she was definitely one of the more emotional. We'll get to that when we get to Final Fantasy VII, of course. But this game just, yeah, I love it. I love it to death. I replay it constantly. Just throughout the year, pick up whatever version. I've got damn near every version of it. Like I said, currently playing the DS. I have the Game Boy Advance. It's one that's constantly on my rotation. Whenever I just get the urge to play some Final Fantasies, not wanting to play one of the new ones, say just kind of going back and doing doing the classics, because this one is just it's so much fun. From you get in the different parties that each have the different abilities, to just while granted it is a pretty standard story, there's a few twists and turns you may not see coming, a lot of fake outs on the deaths, even though there are a few actual deaths. I just think it's a charming by the book, like tropes, and being by the book isn't necessarily a negative thing, because I mean they work for a reason, and I think that's really what this is. Like, if someone was like, say, I want to start on a classic Final Fantasy or kind of see where the series begins. I mean, of course, you could always jump to the originals, the little, maybe a little archaic, maybe, but still very good. I would actually tell most people probably to start on Final Fantasy IV, whatever version. Maybe not the DS one if you're not used to like hardcore old school JRPGs, but most other versions of it you can pretty much pick up and get a feel of what Final Fantasy is. And I truly believe this Final Fantasy is kind of the standard bearer, because it was my first, and of course you always love your first. But I think it does, because the amount of remakes, the sequel, Final Fantasy After Years, regardless of its actual quality, this is one of the first ones that actually got a sequel. Well, it may not come out well. 10 got a sequel, but we'll get to that too. I'm not sure which one came out first. Regardless, 4 is amazing. 4 is one of the best, and it's one I would definitely tell y'all to go check out. But that's going to do it for today. Again, if you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe, share away. And if you've played this one, or if you like this one, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about it. Do you think it's a little too by the books, or is that an okay thing for you? Is it all right to just kind of be traditional, be like that? Or do you think like it's boring because it doesn't break new grounds? I'd like to hear your thoughts. But that's going to do it. Thank y'all again, and we're going to catch y'all later.